Here we are. Got my son's train tracks in front of the computer. And toddlerdom has officially hit. This little motherfucker is getting into everything, throwing shit, all that. He's always much better with dad, though. With mom, it's always horrible. And mom, I don't know if everybody remembers, but 2 weeks ago, when I last streamed, I didn't know if there was chocolate pudding. So guess what I found before I started the stream? He must have started eating this and left it in the refrigerator. It's his chocolate pudding. This is it. Hang on, let me make it. It's called, I don't know if it's a Czech thing, but it's called it's called Toddler. Toddler? Veliki means big. So it's like 130 grams and it's like chocolate pudding. So this is the pudding. He usually doesn't eat the chocolate pudding. I guess he must have just changed that reason because he usually only ate vanilla. So a couple weeks ago when I was live streaming, I touched it and it was like on the fucking table. I didn't know if it was poop or chocolate yet. Because you never know with a kid. And looks like he missed out on this. He'll have to figure it out. Because dad is hungry. It's pretty much just pudding. It does. I mean, it is different because in America, pudding is like, or even here, pudding is something. Pudding is just cornstarch, sugar, and usually some type of extract. Tavaro is like, I think it's a form of cottage cheese or something, but it's milk, but it's the same consistency. If I'm not mistaken, I think cornstarch. If I'm not mistaken, pudding is cornstarch. It's just cornstarch and sugar, and I think a little gelatin or something like that. It's been so long since I made pudding, I can't remember. What's up, D? What's up, Gaines Day? What's up, Flick? Could you react to Sword Pilled by Homeman? Yeah, if I can find it, I'll Google it. Sure. So I was in a conversation with my spouse yesterday. We always sit in the kitchen and talk like this. I was telling her I was working with a guy at the bank. And this is our last meeting because he's actually changing jobs. So we exchanged like telephone numbers and emails and shit like that. And we were talking. And he said he likes to play video games. But he said he always regrets it after he's done playing it. I said, well, why do you regret it? When you get done playing it. He says, well, because I could be doing something more useful with my time. I said, well, I told him, well, I don't regret playing video games. I think video games are great. And, I told him, like, take it from me, like right now in your life. If you like something, and this goes for everybody. If you like something, learn to be comfortable with yourself and liking it. Okay. Now, there's also that part where you have to have that proper balance in yourself to not let it consume your whole life, but not just be comfortable with what you like. Because I told him, like I told my spouse, I said, look, in my profession, the number one thing that everybody has in common from ages 16 to 76. Okay. Everybody has this in common is that they're not comfortable liking whatever they like. It's almost like, and the weird part of it is the older you get, I see this happen more commonly. Like once you start hitting over 30, it happens a lot more. And it seems to like get bigger. It's like the situation of, it's almost an impulse to immediately shame whatever it is you like, right? And I think that's so weird. And it doesn't matter the financial background, anything. Like if you get out there and get to talking and get the hang, it's almost like it's especially for men. It's like, but women do it too. It's shameful to like something that isn't like work. You know what I mean? Like it's like an impulse to like some kind of way find a way to shame it. It's like if the person can't find a way to shame it, then it's like they feel like something's wrong with them, and they don't fit in with society anymore and all that. And I'm here to tell you, like, no, don't fall into that trap. I've so many people fall into that trap. My thing is this: like whatever you like. Be comfortable with yourself and like whatever you like. No matter what path you take in life, there's going to be people who agree with you and people who disagree with you. The only difference is some people may, hide behind your back and disagree with you about it, or they're agreeing with you because they think that other people would agree with you. Like here's it, like, and I've said this a long time ago on my channel. Trying to fit in with people is a waste of time. Is a complete waste of time. Trying to live for other people is a complete waste of time. Now, I'm not saying like quit your whole job and all that right now and blah blah, because even I get it, like at some point you have to make money in some kind of way. I'm not saying like throw away your entire everything you've built because you like to build model ships. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is find whatever you like and figure out a way to make your life work around what you actually like to do. So when we were sitting in the kitchen, I was telling my spouses, I went and I pulled up the clip of T-Pain. Now he is T-Pain, but I pulled up the clip of T-Pain where he says he makes $60,000 playing $60,000 an hour playing video games, right? And I showed, but I gave him the benefit out. Yeah, that is T-Pain. He already had a following before he went to online streaming, so he, a lot of that could carry over. So T-Pain is not like a normal source. So then I went to, I showed her professional eaters. Motherfuckers that eat. Listen, let me pull it up. Professional. Let's do a hot dog. I showed her these guys, right? These guys who do professional hot dog eating. Like real professional eaters. Like, and I showed, I said, look, one thing you'll see. You see that? Yeah. It's probably going to copyright because ESPN. But these are professional hot dog eaters, right? Even if you love to eat. See, and look at all these hot dogs, all these professional eaters, none of them are morbidly obese, right? And this is the point I was trying to make to her last night when we were talking, and doing what you like to do or doing what you know how to do, and you can stomach it, whatever, right? No pun intended. But, look at all. Now, of course you'll find some professional eaters that'll be fat. It's not going to be a universal thing. Nothing's ever universal. But when you look at the average professional eater, right? When you look at the average professional eater, none of these guys are like morbidly obese, none of that, right? Why is that? Right? Because they actually took some type of control over their life and made, they took control of it. They didn't just aimlessly go into eating, right? None of these guys in here, or maybe even girls, I'm sure some of them are probably overweight slightly, but none of these guys are obese. Like, think about, like, why in a field that is literally called professional eating, where you just eat as much as you possibly can that most people cannot eat, and these people are not fat. Why is that? What's separating these guys from the fucking retard the fucking idiot down the goddamn street who can't stop eating McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken? It's control and order. That's what it is. It's control and order over what they took. These people are taking control. These people are more likely taking control over their life. They seen what they do. They seen what they like. Okay, and say, okay, how can I make this work and not have it completely consume my health and my life, right? And they figured it out. So when it comes to video games, building model ships, whatever. Okay. My thing is this: own whatever you like whatever you like, be comfortable with yourself in whatever you like, but take control of your life in that and outside of it to make sure it's all still fitting what works for you, because what works for you may not work for me. What works for me may not work for somebody else, right? Because actually, I just talked to this woman today. When I told her, when I was in, I said we were talking about being when we were teenagers, and I said, you know what? When I was a teenager, I never did drugs. I never drank. I never smoked. I never got in trouble. I never went out and got in car accidents. I just always liked to play video games. Video games is always my thing. I always wanted to, my the highlight of my day was coming back home and playing a new season of Madden or NBA 2K by myself, right? Just going through a franchise mode, and that's all I would do. And just try to make the stats look as realistic as possible and all that, right? It was just that was the highlight of my days as a kid, right? And then she asked me, her immediate question after that, because she's a professional woman, she goes, did you regret it? I was like, no, not at all. I love video games. I don't regret. No, not. I absolutely do not regret it. And the reason why I don't regret video games is again because I have control of it, inside of it, and outside of that world to make my life still move on and work. Now, I would regret video games if I knew I had to be up at 7 a.m. and I was playing till 3 a.m. and I knew I had to be up at 7. I'm mad at myself the whole time and this and that. At that, now I start to regret it. Okay, like I was regretting drinking when I first came to Czech Republic, and this is a thing that doesn't get talked about a lot. But I had to look into this. This is a thing. When you come from a richer country and then you move to a poorer country, not well like a poorer country than in the country you come from. I'm not saying a poor country, but it's the poor country where the price of alcohol is cheaper. For example, I want to say it's Thailand or some Asian country where they have a very high rate of Westerners who come there and drink themselves to death because alcohol is so cheap. Because in Western countries, alcohol is usually pretty expensive. So they move to these countries where a beer is $1, and they drink themselves to goddamn death, and they end up killing themselves on that because they'll get so drunk they'll end up killing themselves on accident. And they had a very high rates of this because I knew when I was going through it, I said, like, I can't be the only one who's going through this. Moving from North America, where a beer at a bar is going to be $8, between $6 to $8 back when I was in America, to moving to Czech Republic. When I moved to Czech Republic, a beer in a regular bar would be $1 to $1.50. Right? So that's like 90%. Okay, here's the thing. So imagine if you're in North America, imagine what would happen if by midnight tonight, every bar in your area had a 90% discount on all alcohol. What do you think would happen in that situation? You'd have a town full of drunks. Right. Yeah. So to put it into perspective, imagine if you're from Ohio and you like to go out to bars in Ohio, right? Where an average beer in a bar will be like, I'm guessing now probably $8, something like that, after inflation's hit, because it's been 10 years since I've really hung out in America like that. But let's just say if you go in America where an average beer in a bar would be $8, and then literally by 8 a.m., by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, it was on headline news that all alcohol was 90% off. How do you think people would realistically handle that? They start killing themselves because they're not used to alcohol being that cheap. And on top of that, the only factor that was really deterring them from the alcohol would be the price would just get too expensive. So that'll eventually run them out the bar. So a lot of people the price alone would eventually run many people, just run them out the bar at some point because it's just expensive. So when I moved to Czech Republic, that's essentially what happened to me. I essentially experienced a 90% discount in the price of alcohol going out to a bar. And then not to mention going to the store and buying beer. It's even cheaper doing like that. You get the equivalent of a 6 pack back then was about $1.50. Now it's going to about $2.30 or something. The equivalent. They sell it in like liters, not like they do sell them in bottles, but I always get just the liter bottle. Now they do have more expensive beers. They do have expensive beers along with it, but I mean most people would just drink the regular beer. So in those years, I still remember it got to a point when I had moved to Chescalipa, because alcohol was just so cheap. It got to a point where I would just feel so sick, and then the next morning I would wake up and pour all the beer out, and I would just be. And this is the only time I remember in my life where I like truly regretted something that I immediately did. And I remember I would just wake up and I said, I'm just sick of this. I would go to the sink and just pour out all the beer, all the everything, right? I would just pour everything out. And then by that night, I would go buy some more. And I started to hate myself being in that cycle because it was just cheap. It was so cheap. You're not going to go broke doing it, right? So by the time I moved to this flat, I had slowed down a lot. I was still drinking a lot, but I had slowed down. And now I don't even drink anymore at all. So that's another, relatively unbelievable story is that I actually kicked my alcohol habit and literally in the country that drinks the most beer per capita, which is Czech Republic. I'll show you just to prove it. Let me see. Czech Republic is by far on top of this. See? And I actually beat my alcohol addiction literally in the world's worst country for drinking beer. That's recorded, at least. It by far beats Germany out. Let me make myself smaller so you can see that. But yeah, so I quit by the time. So since I've had my son, I pretty much just like I may drink alcohol twice a month now, maybe, and even then I can't even drink that much of it anymore. It just makes me so sick so fast, right? But that's another part of my life that'd be unbelievable to tell somebody back in North America, like you beat your alcohol addiction and like in the world, where the most people drink the most beer per capita. Well, that's my life. Like, I can't even drink it. Even now, if I even I can. The last time I came home a little just off, I drank 2 beers and I think 1 shot. And I was just done the next 2 days. I can't. It's like my body is just completely rejecting it. I just can't even drink it. And I can't drink no more than 1. And even 1 beer is enough to just have me like I don't want any more kind of thing. It's just that's what happened. How's it? What's up, Simon Lewis? Hey, she's good, man. Actually, I seen some socks in a store sitting right here. I just bought her some socks from Marks and Spencer's and Tesco. I was like walking in the store and seeing them, and we were just talking about getting some socks. So I just picked her up some socks at the store. Hey, good man, baby. He's officially a toddler. Had to move shit around. The treadmill I got over there in the corner. Let me show you. This light's gonna go off. Hang on, because I'm gonna unplug it. But I'm still here. So let's do a quick tour of my messy place with a toddler. So here's my treadmill in the corner. This looks horrible. Let me see. Let me make it bigger. That's what she said. So there's a treadmill in the corner. And the reason why that vacuum is I took a picture of it. And she thought I took a picture because I was mad. I said, no, I'm taking it because it's funny. Right? You see that vacuum cleaner? That's okay. That's the vacuum cleaners in Europe, and I hate these vacuum cleaners. I really do hate these vacuum cleaners. They're just so clunky and just awkward to pull around. I'm used to American vacuum cleaners where it's just like the fucking single column, everything in one column, and you just push it. Not this whole fucking like Ghostbusters setup where it's a fucking packet in a tube and you gotta do that kind of shit. I hate these vacuum cleaners. But anyway, so that's his play mat, and then where's it at? This flute. I put this right here, right? Because the reason why it's there is because he hates the vacuum cleaner. He's terrified of the vacuum cleaner, of my vacuum cleaner here, not the other one at the other flat. He's only scared of mine. I don't know why. And this flute, for some reason, he's terrified of this flute. I don't know why. I just like to play it sometimes. So he just immediately starts running and crying. Me or his mom try to play it. He hates this flute. I don't know what happened, but he just doesn't like. So he'll run away if he sees the flute. The reason why, so I had to put this to block the treadmill because this is gonna be a long explanation. So originally it's sitting up like this, right? Well, because the reason why I'm scared of it sitting up like this is because he likes to carry around his water bottle and he's starting to pour it on the wall or something like that, and just to watch it run down. So I know, for those of you that kids, you probably already know where I'm going with this. I already know eventually he's gonna, because he likes to come and fuck with the treadmill, right? Just for no reason, because it's the most expensive thing he gets his hands on, and he knows, there's something. So he likes to come and fuck with it all the time. It's only a matter of time before he's gonna take his water bottle and get the pouring it on here, and the water's gonna run down to the motor down there and the electronics in there and break the goddamn thing, right? So I said, okay, how about we try so I had the treadmill open and extended along the floor, because I long ways this direction, right? Well, then he started. Well, I didn't have a problem with this. He was taking his trains, and he wanted to sit on the treadmill and roll his trains down the treadmill. The treadmill's unplugged. I would never leave it plugged up with him here. I think that's how Mike Tyson lost his daughter, was on a treadmill. She got on and he started playing with it, but it was plugged in. That's rough. But anyway, I don't mean to minimize that because I couldn't even imagine what Mike Tyson went through with that. But anyway, so what he started doing then was he started to get his little Lego, these little blocks, and shove them. He was shoving them in the cracks up here, so it was just filled with all his toys inside. And then he just started getting more and more comfortable with it and start fucking with it more and more. I said, okay, no, this isn't gonna work. So I folded it back up, and that's why the vacuum cleaner is sitting in front of goddamn. Because I started to think, how can I fucking psychologically fuck him up to keep me from touching it? Because he's not listening to no. And yeah, and real quick, this is my view, right? Now, what I wanted to talk about before I go sit back down is stay the fuck off social media, right? I've already deleted the vast majority of it because with everything I've done with my life, right? With everything I've done, you see, with my life, and this is where I live, right? With everything I've done with my life, I can hop on social media and within 5 minutes start questioning my entire life. Like I got to do better, right? Going on social media. Get the fuck off social media, man. Social media is bullshit. Everybody's life is fucked up in some way. My life is fucked up in some way. Everybody's got something fucked up in their damn life. But yeah, so I tell you what. So I'll show you something embarrassing, right? Because I'm still moving shit around, and I don't really know where to put anything. I hope the internet doesn't go out too bad in this room because I'm in the other side of the room. So I'll show you, because I just had to rebuild my desktop because my gaming PC just finally gave out. That thing was so old. My gaming PC was The processor in that thing was a 4690K. That thing, I bought that. I remember when I built that old gaming PC. I built that when I was living in downtown Dayton, Ohio. When I was still at community college was when I built that. I didn't have a bachelor's degree at that point. That was how long ago I built that computer. And it's still, well, the motherboard and all that still works. I think here's the motherboard right here because I just rebuilt it. I just had to rip all this out. So here's the motherboard. Well, this is just a big ass heat sink and fan, but this is all this still works, and it has the 16 gigabytes of RAM. All of it still works. So I'm probably just going to end up, using it as like a server or something, or maybe just like a super duper backup. But it was really the power supply. The power supply finally just like degraded too bad, and it couldn't handle the load that my video card was trying to pull from it, so it just shut down. So I said, look, at this point, if I were to upgrade the power supply, like there's no real point to upgrade just the power supply if the processor is like from 15 years ago. So it's like, okay, like I gotta just upgrade the whole thing. So I went and got, I got, this is the processor box. It's just, it's not even like these super high end or anything. It's just a 12400, and the motherboard is here. And power supply. I don't know if this is a great power supply, but it got a gold rating, and so I bought it. And so I rebuilt it, and it's working now. So let me see if I can make it. Oof, this is horrible. So yeah, because I do sim racing. So this is my steer. I had to move everything in here because I was going to build a racing cockpit, but I just don't have the space at all. So I'm just using it as at a desk. Because a buddy of mine, he brought down pallets so I can make a sim racing cockpit. We were going to do it together, but I just don't have the space at all in this flat to do it. So I'm in here at this computer desk. There's a PlayStation 5. As you can see that. And these wires are atrociously bad back here. Because I can explain that later. This is just the Ethernet wire. The wires back here are just terrible. And this is where, this is the steering wheel. This is a 4K monitor. No super high refresh rate or anything like that. And I'll be sitting here and be like, and play the game. And this is my view out the window when I play the game. It's my cactus in the window and some plants. But it's just so messy right now. Because, again, we're moving. I got to move shit every fucking couple of days because he comes around and starts fucking with shit. So, you know how it is with kids. And I used to have one of these in North America, but I never had one in Europe. It's just the paint for painting. I haven't even opened it because this thing gave out. This is the power supply for the desktop. It finally just gave. It's super old and just gave out probably. So I'll look out the window there. Again, that's my view. Well, that's the view out the window. And I can immediately go on social media and be like, wow, my life sucks. Right? Because there's always somebody showing something off on social media. So I tell you, stay the fuck off social media because it's bullshit. And you're on social media watching me. Uh-oh. Did it stop? Oh, let me make sure it didn't stop. Because I got it on the iPad right here. Come on. Come on, baby. Okay, yeah. No, that's fine. But yeah. Uh-oh. Am I still good? Oh, look what they have. LOS. Yeah, parody. Yeah. Yeah, social media is bullshit, man. Because they're not going to show you the reality on anything. Or, like, most people wouldn't show you, like, reality. Because reality's not pretty, man. If it is pretty, there's something ugly somewhere hiding not too far away from it. But yeah, I could immediately go on Instagram and I can immediately go on Instagram and I guarantee within 10 swipes, you'll find somebody with a bigger, better computer. There's always somebody's gonna have a better computer, a better screen, a better VR system, a better flat, a better house. There's always gonna be some. Like I said, I learned that when I went to boot camp. That was when I had that real reality check of like, okay, um, I'm never gonna be the best at anything. Okay, just is what it is. I'm never gonna be the best. I will never be the best. I tell a story all the time. Remember in Ohio, I was kind of a badass. I was kind of a bad. I was okay. I was good. I was good in Ohio. I could do a lot of pull-ups, a lot of push-ups, a lot of sit-ups. And I remember when we went to boot camp, and it was just droves of other people just doing the same jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups that I could do. You could just see them. Well, the pull-ups, they didn't have like the drove set up like that far. We all had to just get in different lines to do as many pull-ups. But I just remember it completely hit me. I was like 23, 24, something like that. Because I was old. I was old going to the military. Seriously. And I just remember the reality hit me. I said to myself, I will never be the best at everything. I will never be the best. I'm just going to do the best with what I have and make it work the best I can and just move on. And that was it. And I never struggled with that ever again. Well, not seriously. I guess, nowadays with social media, you can always find a way to start struggling. But yeah, I've never drunk alcohol or smoked. I've just never had interest or intention to. Word, that's cool, man. That's cool. Out of all the alcohol I've ever had, the only one that I've ever really liked, a friend of mine, he recommended me. He gave it to me. So it was some ginger beer in America. I can't remember the name of it, but that beer was really good. It didn't taste like it really. I really liked it for the ginger, not really even the beer, but it was really good. Oh yeah, like for example, my car. Like my car is nothing. My car in Czech Republic is nothing special. It's not really anything special in North America either, but it's much nice. My car here is I drive a regular Ford Focus, dude. Like, and I don't even drive it. I keep a trickle charger hooked up to it because the battery kept dying because I never drove it. I just ride the trains everywhere. Right? It's a regular Ford Focus. It's nothing special. I'll go pick my dad. My dad's coming here next month. I go pick him up from the airport in it. And then right after that, we're just gonna catch trains across Europe. We're not going anywhere. I mean, well, I'm not gonna drive it much. Now in America, my car it's a BMW in North America, but is it that it's getting old now because I haven't been there in years and years. It still looks nice, but it's getting old. Um, but yeah, social media, dude, is like there's. Oh God, I'm just so against social media. Super against it. What's up? What's up, Super? I don't know. I don't even know what a Moscow. Let me Google that. What is a Moscow mule? I don't know what that is. Moscow mule. Oof. I'm not in the mood to recheck right now. Cocktail, vodka, ginger beer, and lime. That sounds like that would taste good. That sounds like, yeah, that's in my world. Yeah, because I love ginger. That sounds like that'd be a good combination. Vodka, ginger, beer, and lime juice. That would be, yeah, I'm with you on that. That sounds good. Yeah, I was just telling everybody, kid's good, man. He's going on 3. His trains are on the floor right here. Here's another toy of his right here. Uh, Other toys on the wall. Got a train over there. I'll tell you here. I'll show you this train. So his mom got him this because I'm still confused. So here's the other thing that's weird for me is the toys. And I don't know, maybe because I'm getting older or it's a country thing, but like the toy stores are just a bit weirder over here. To me, for me, to me. So this train, it like shoots out dominoes out the back, and it plays a song. If it had dominoes, it would like push out the dominoes from the back. And yeah, so he's a train guy. I was, as far as I know, I was never a train kid. I was always in the cars. I never really cared for trains. He's all about trains. It's everything trains. Like if there's a train, he's on it. And he got the train, like train tracks right here on the floor. I bought him this train track. It's like this train set and these like Lego train things. I still remember when I bought this for him because I didn't think he'd ever play with it. I bought this in Albert. It's a grocery store in Czech Republic. It was in Europe. Albert's in Europe. I bought this in Albert at a grocery store when he was like maybe just at 1 years old. When he can actually start, for real start, getting around on his own and grabbing shit on his own. I bought him that for Christmas. No, wait, because he was born in June. He must have been going on 1.5 around that time. Because he wasn't even walking at 6 months. Yeah, so at 6 months, then that would have been a year. He was about a year and a half. I bought him that for around a year and a half. He didn't touch it for 6 months, and then now that's his favorite. That's his go-to. This is his go-to train set. Because his mom went out and bought him. I think she got it from a friend. Though those more expensive train sets that are just all wood and they have like the metal connectors on both sides. And he does play with that, but this is his go-to when he wants to really like build it to go up a hill or something like that. This is his go-to shit. So, and it's been his go-to from day once it clicked and he figured it out. That's been his go-to so far. Bro, you gotta save me. I'm having super baby fever. Ginger is so good. Goes great with tea and honey for a cold. Oh, I love ginger, man. I love it. Now that you mentioned, I forgot I got some ginger in the refrigerator. I'm gonna make some ginger tea when this is over. I probably should really make it now. Well, no, because I gotta shave off the skin, and that's gonna take some time. I don't feel like I'm not doing that. I'll do it later tonight. Make some ginger, just boil that shit, put the lid on it. But I put like black pepper and like, if I have some other peppers, I just put pepper, any kind of pepper I can in with the ginger and drink it like that. I love it. FaZe Lion. Yo, lady, any advice for success guilt while women you want to try? I don't even understand what that sentence is. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm too tired. Yo, AD, any advice for success guilt while women you wanted try to spin the block? I don't understand that form of slang. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but I don't explain to me spin the block. I don't know what. Let me Google it. Oh, it's a meaning right here. Okay, so I'm not the only idiot that doesn't know what it means. Somebody else had to Google it too. Uh-oh. To drive around or walk through a specific area off the neighborhood, target frequently with attention. Oh, okay, so she still wants attention. Wait, slang for giving someone you used to be romantically involved with a second chance. Okay, now I'm really confused. Word, actually, that's the first time I've ever seen WikiHow have brown people drawn in a picture. Is this? It is. That's the first time I've ever seen WikiHow have brown people in the damn picture. I've never seen that before. That's crazy. Is this real? Is that supposed to be a woman? Or what is that blonde? Is that a woman with the blonde hair? Or is that a man? Jiminy Christmas. I've never seen that. Look, these motherfuckers was not ready. That is supposed to be a white man. That is not supposed to be no. Why does this motherfucker got blonde hair? You know what is so? And I don't mean to because we was talking about race this morning. Me and my spouse, we was talking about race shit this morning in Europe. But it's just so shocking how, like, because we talking. My spouse is as white as it. My spouse is pale, but she doesn't even get tan. She just burns to death in the sun, right? But we talk about this shit. It is so shocking how the world, like, how white motherfuckers will literally figure out how to split apart an atom, but have no awareness about black humans at all. These boys like, yeah, well, I split apart an atom in my cousin's basement using a toothpick and a hairbrush and a electric current going through a paper clip. Yes, and he'd be like, hey, draw a picture of a black person and have it with blonde hair. Like what? Because I just played fuck. You know what? I finally took the dive and tried Fortnite on my PlayStation. Oh, no, not Fortnite. Dauntless on my PlayStation 5. And when I was creating a character, I made him black, and they made the motherfucker black with blonde eyebrows. Like why? Where is this confusion? I mean, somebody help me understand this. Where is this confusion that black people are supposed to have blonde hair? Or a blonde. Where the fuck is this coming? It is so shocking. And I told her it's impressive. how it is seriously impressive. The perception of it. It's seriously, unbelievably, and it's impressive how bad it can get. Like these motherfuckers gotta try to be this bad. Like whenever you play a Japanese game and they put a black dude in it, he's either got like an afro that has birds living in it, or he's like some fucking big super muscle. Like they don't understand. Like it is shocking. Like it is so shocking. These motherfuckers will figure out how to fucking fly to the damn moon. These motherfuckers will literally figure out how to send a hunk of metal to Pluto, but can't figure out that black people don't have blonde eyebrows. Like, what the fuck? And be completely so, well, I don't want to sound racist, but motherfucker, it is shocking. It never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to amaze me. Never ceases to amaze me. Yeah, that is supposed to be a man. Yeah, see, this is the original template right here. That is the template. Okay, they took that template and said, oh, why do we make that? Well, if we make his hair black and him black, you won't be able to see him. So I guess that maybe that was the logic. If he was black and they had to make his hair black, it would be, they figured, we'd lose him or something. Or just make him bald. Fuck it. I've never seen brown people in this. This is my first time seeing it. Yeah. See, you almost had it, but you gave him the Key and Peele white guy hairdo. So they almost had it right there. Or maybe he's not black. Maybe he's like Arabic or some shit. I don't know. But that first dude, that's supposed to be a black man. with a blonde box cut. With the surfer bro blonde box cut. That's horrible. I don't want to go on there for too long. But we talked about it. We talked about this. We talked about it this morning. Because you know why we talked about it this morning? Because I was watching this YouTube video about, it was asking British kids, what do they think of Americans making fun of British, how they talk and their food and stuff like that, right? And here's where I'm starting to get fucked up, and this is embarrassing on my behalf. I'm starting to get fucked up. Uh-oh. I'm trying to make so that the chat is at the top because it fell back. Where I'm starting to get fucked up is, since I'm living in the heart of Europe, like we talked about this morning. European racism is different from American racism in different ways. And it's mostly because, like, most of them will just never ever see a black person their entire life. Especially in continental Europe, most of them will never ever talk to a black person their entire life. So it's not so much that they're racist out of like, like some type of hate. It's like it's racism out of being, it's like just super awkward and like trying to run and like make up, it's to not expose themselves for being so awkward about it, right? Like because and here's the sad part about Europe is like is that Europe, continental Europe, mostly gets away with just genuinely succeeding or being seen as favorable, mostly because the world has a memory of what Europe was 2,000 years ago, and that memory is severely fucked up. But it's still it's an image from a memory of 2,000 years ago Europe, where motherfuckers was drinking olive oil or bathing in olive oil and this shit like that, right? And using knowledge to find the mass of the sun and shit like that, or just mass of planets, right? So Europe has this identity to live up to be very well cultured, when in fact most of them is actually the extreme opposite. In my opinion, I think Americans are more cultured than than most Europeans I've ever met. I think Americans are more cultured in the sense of genuinely being able to sit down in a room with people who don't look, walk, or talk like them, and at least being able to comfortably survive in that room, right? Europeans don't have that. If you're not white, they don't know what to do with you, right? Now they'll still segregate amongst themselves for being white, but in the context of being well cultured, like in the context of being seriously well cultured means you can hop in and out of completely different social circles and be fine. So a person who lacks culture is a person who's only lived in, Long Beach, or they've only lived in Cincinnati, Ohio, or they've only lived in Montana and they never left. See, they don't have a lot of culture. They haven't experienced different kind of cultures. So these people will be awkward for the sake of this theory, to be around different shit. Europe is severely like that to a 10th degree, because they still severely operate on village level mentalities, right? They've never their growth is severely stunted and completely different. Now it's bigger in other ways, but it's severely stunted in other ways too. So so because I was telling my spouse this morning, because she thought a good older woman friend of mine, she's like in her 60s now. She always assumed she was black, or she always assumed she wasn't white. And when I went back to North America and I was hanging out with her, I video called her, and she was shocked to see that her name's Lynn, and Lynn she's an old white woman, and she wasn't expecting that. She was expecting something else, right? Because again, Europe doesn't really do well with culture. But again, the part where I think it's fucked up is because Europe has this reputation of being cultured and being great and all this, when in fact it's really the complete opposite in many ways. So it's like they feel like they have to keep that image. Like you can sense it. It's like a part of them. They feel like they have to keep that image up. That yes, I fit this image of being European and being well cultured and trying new things, blah 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 blah. But you can sense like it's awkward. Like for example, and this is what we talked about in the kitchen. She just cooked me some eggs actually this morning, some eggs and guacamole. And I said, look, in North America, you can go anywhere in North America, and small children would not stare at you because you're black, right? In North America, let's say if a Czech person moved to North America, if a Argentine person moved to North America and they got their citizenship, we would see them as North America. We would see them as American, but they were from somewhere else, right? Like, is these little small differences. Like in America, if a foreigner comes, even if you talk about these little Chinatowns, places like that, where it's just these complete communities from Asian countries, they come there and they get their citizenship or whatever. In America, we like our philosophy is we would see them as American, but they were really from somewhere else, right? Now, the flip side in Europe is let's say if an Italian person were to move to Czech Republic, that and they got their citizenship in Czech Republic, that person would never ever be seen as Czech. That Italian would always be Italian first, and they're just kind of living in Czech Republic, and they could live there for 40 years, and it would still be like the example I gave was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger, see, and going from Europe to America, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, even though we know he's not American and he's never ditched the act, he's always kept his accent. Um, we would classify him as American, but he's really from somewhere else, right? Wherever, it doesn't matter. But we would know because he has the accent, right? But he would be there in America, right? Doesn't work that way in Europe. It doesn't work. He would always be Austrian first, and then be living in France or Italy and all that. So like that cultured part. See, here's okay. European culture boils down to this. Being a cultured European boils down to this. It boils down in my experiences. Being cultured is a hobby. Being cultured as a European is the same thing like a woman wanting to be a strong, independent woman and says she wants a life like that. What they really mean is they like to diddle daddle in it for 15 minutes and then go off and be what they really are the whole time. See, like that's not becoming cultured in truly cultured in it, being like truly engulfed and cultured in the thing, right? They like it's maybe I did a shit job explaining it. They only made caricature versions of black people. They either look like dark skinned Dominican or they look like Mr. Popo from DBZ. No in between. Yeah, the Japanese had animes and shit. Yeah. Yeah, is Show Park still good? I don't know, Ace. I don't go unless somebody comes here. I may go with my dad when he comes here. I don't go to Show Park. To be honest with you, 100% honest. It's not because I got a spouse or anything like that. I met a dude, another American, in a center, in the center of Prague, and he has a girlfriend. He said he just went to Show Park the night before, but he has a girlfriend. He had a Slovakian girlfriend, and cool dude. And I never wrote. We supposed to hang out. I just never wrote him. Um, um, as far as he was talking, he sounded like it was. I told him, look, like I just don't even have the energy to go all the way out there and then pay money, and I just don't feel like do. I'd rather just jack off. And he said sometimes he's in the same mood too. He was a real honest dude, real open guy like me. Cool. I'm a writing. Matter of fact, where's my phone? I'm a writing right now. My name was Brian. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you. I haven't been to Show Park in a while. Are you purple pill now? I don't even know what purple pill is. What's purple pill? Me trying to. Okay, that's purple pill. I used to know what that meant. is online communities, particularly those related to incels. The purple pill could represent a centrist worldview. I used to know what it means. It's been so long since I looked at it. I can't remember. Maybe it's something like this. It'll bring it up. Okay, let's see what the rational male says about it. Oh, this is men. Okay, so it says in the community, the purple pill is a euphemism for men who've become red pill aware, but for a variety of insecurities have decided to temper the uncomfortable truths that of that awareness with their previous blue pill hopes. The harsh, ugly truth that the nature of women, the nature of hypergamy, and the natural selection process of intersexual dynamics present these guys become too much to bear is all encompassing. When man begins to see surroundings with a red pill lens, a difficult truth. Okay, yeah. So here's the thing. I would say the purple pill is between the purple pill is the area between MGTOW and red pill. That's what I would say. Because that reality, it hurts. You don't want to believe it. You figure out if you just stick to your guns and you follow an agenda that women really don't, that they'll really do whatever bullshit Disney ideology you have in your head, that women aren't always like plotting and scheming for what they're trying to get. Yeah, all that truth hurts. And so, in my opinion, I've said this a long time ago. I think a lot of men will hit this point where it's like, wow, that's what happened. Could I have fallen for that trap that so many men fall for? And how do I fight it? And I think some men will just see the cards stacked against them by the time they wake up, and it just hurts too much. And I think this is where MGTOW kind of comes in with it, whereas the men are going their own way. Like they really don't want to go back in there and fight quite yet, because it may not even be worth it for the guy. That whatever his circumstances are, he doesn't want to go back in there and even deal with it anymore, and just goes his own way, and just becomes a monk, and just disappears, right? And just does whatever he does, and doesn't she and just doesn't mingle in that world anymore. I think purple pill is the position in between um, MGTOW and red pill. So here's the only thing that kept me out of becoming purple pill. Let me reread it just to make sure I got it right. The harsh, ugly truth of the nature of it. Okay, yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. The part that got me out of this section right here was because I was running prostitutes in Ohio before I ever left North America. And I really figured out what MGTOW and all that shit long before. I always kind of heard of MGTOW here and there, but it was nowhere near the popularity that it got, as it is now. I learned all my lessons through hanging out with women in hoods, because I would go to summer camps in hoods in the hood of Cincinnati. Um, that either that or when I went to college and I was running prostitutes, and you just hang out with whores and you hear how they talk about men and these kind of things. That's what got me over that hurdle to where I didn't. A lot of men get stuck right in this hurdle. A lot of men get stuck exactly here. This is where a lot of men will get stuck, and then they'll, if they just don't have it, and they just don't have the weaponry to go back mentally to go back in there and fight. They'll just go MGTOW and just leave the whole thing alone, right? Again, what got me over that was I was becoming friends, relatively speaking, friends with hookers and bouncing in and out from like hoods to suburb areas, and where I could see things a bit more clear. It was that those two, the combination of those two, that was what kept me out of falling too deep into like seeing that, okay, there's just a part in every human's mind that sees attractive people as being worth more. If they're attractive, then she must be smarter. I think it's called the Disney complex or something like that. Um, it's like because they did studies with like I can't remember what it's called, but the halo effect, is that it? Yeah, like so and just by default, women see. So let's just do this: the halo effect. So physical attractiveness influence our judgment. Yeah, this sounds about right. So maybe it's not, but anyway, I'm just going to explain it. So since attractive people are always thought to be more intelligent, more. What's up, Jen? Since they're always thought to be more intelligent, so if you're attractive, you're thought to be more intelligent, more strong, more smarter, more creative. These kind of things. Well, that in and of itself should automatically kind of explain that inevitably women will always benefit from that. Every woman will automatically, because at some point, if any guy just got horny enough, like he would fuck a 3 out of 10 woman because he just wants a woman, right? And see, just by that base logic right there, women are always going to have that power over men, because if you just leave man and woman alone for too long, like a man is literally just going to crave a woman's body. He's just going to crave it and do some and will do extremely stupid shit to get to a woman's body. A man will just do it over time, right? So with that being said, if since the man is usually going to be the desperate, especially in the earlier years, the man's going to be the more desperate one. Um, in that desperation, and him inevitably getting rejected, he's going to slowly start putting more value into woman. In that value that he's putting that woman, the woman will grow to be this bigger thing to him. This big, the woman just grows to this. Like, oh my god, how do I impress her? How do I like what? How do I try to get her to talk to me? How does and this woman was just some dingbat bitch. You mean who just. I mean, she's just breathing and walking, and is just biologically a woman. Like that's all she is. Like there's nothing special about women, right? Like you see what I'm saying? Like her be like she doesn't the woman doesn't feel her attractiveness. You see what I'm saying? She doesn't like when you see her as hot, she doesn't see that. She doesn't feel any of that or see that. So when I look at Halle Berry, like I see a completely different perspective of Halle Berry than Halle Berry sees of herself, right? Now she can build her self esteem off of me treating her differently because of that. But I mean that's a different area. But she doesn't feel any of that. So from the guy's perspective, the guy ends up most younger guys at some point we all do it. You're going to end up building this person up and hyping this person up to become essentially a god, like to us, like where we're willing to give up sacrifices. For example, paying for all their food, paying for their shit. We're willing to give up sacrifices just to get in their good graces. So essentially, women end up becoming gods to especially younger guys, right? And I forgot because you say Alexander Grace, and I'm thinking about his content. But where's I headed with that? The halo effect. Shit, I forgot where I was going at. Oh, you do more your playing videos. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so with that being said, like a woman is always going to automatically have that benefit. She's always any woman, the vast majority of women are always going to have that benefit of that's where I was going with the rational male guy. That's where I was headed with that. The red with the rational and the red pill thing. So once it's this thing that you want that you're inevitably going to crave. Every guy is going to inevitably crave some woman unless he has some medical condition. He's going to crave a woman and he's going to get rejected, right? Because when you like something, you're going to get awkward and she's going to be awkward and it usually doesn't work out, right? In this situation, then you have to come to grips with like, wow, Halle Berry was just another bitch. She was like, when I say just another bitch, Halle Berry was just another human, right? See, this is where I am mentally with these things. Like, like being pretty is nowhere near enough to make me like think something special about a woman anymore, right? Because I've already seen, heard, and talked to enough women to know these things deeply. But younger guy, you don't. When you're young, you just don't have this experience yet. But it's a very hurtful thing when let's use like a car for an example. When somebody hyped this car up because it was supposedly so fast and so great and it hit 0 to 60 in point 0.2 seconds because it was such an amazing thing, and then the car gets released and you pre-ordered the car. So you got the car as soon as it came out, and then the car comes out and it was expensive. And you had to save up for years to get this car, right? And it comes out and the performance is nowhere. It was a lie. It's still not. Let's say the performance wasn't even terrible performance, but it was not. You was not hitting 0 to 60 in point 0.2 seconds, right? There's going to be a lot of people in that transition phase that don't want to hear it. right, right. And they'll dive into deeper and deeper logical gymnastics to explain it, and they just don't want to. When it's literally sitting in front of them, yeah, like this car does not go 0 to 60 in point 0.2 seconds. This is a fact, right? These are facts. In that, let's say 100,000 people bought this car. Immediately, 50,000 people don't want to hear that because they already put this value in their head about the car. Simps. You see what I'm saying? They were simps for the car. They put that value in their head. This car has to be great. Because why? Because television said it was great. Because social media, YouTube said this car was great. So I have to like it because I must like it because other people said it's great. And then you get the car and it's a piece of goddamn shit. Well, again, in that process, half the people don't want to hear that. Other people will be hurt and they'll just, disappear from it. Maybe sell it, Very few people will actually admit, like, yeah, I fell for that shit. You'll be like, yeah, they got me with the vroom vroom, bro. The vroom vroom commercial got me. With the little snake that said vroom vroom at the end in the commercial. Yeah, that got me, bro. Some motherfuckers can sit down and laugh about it. And the ones who can sit down and laugh about it will usually be the ones who actually grow and develop later on and then learn how to make a game plan and properly do research before they buy the next car again, right? The ones who can sit down and laugh about it. But the ones who don't know how to sit down and laugh about it and share embarrassing stories, those are the ones. It's essentially Cutco knives. It's the shame is what keeps them coming back because they're too afraid to admit that they were wrong, right? Oh yeah, man, yeah. It's the shame. Like, no, these Cutco knives are great. Yeah, I just send them $200 more a month so I could keep selling them because they don't want to say like, yeah, they got me. You know what I mean? They don't want to have to just go, yeah, Cutco got me. Them Cutco knives. They almost got me. My uncle told me not to do it. That's the only reason why I didn't do it. I was gonna do it. Cutco knives. When did you stop smoking cigarettes? I never smoked cigarettes. Phase line. Tesla Cybertruck. I seen one of those here in Prague for the first time like a week ago. Those Tesla trucks. I never been inside one. A friend of mine had one of them Tesla cars. Oh no, the woman I spoke with today, I think she just driving a Tesla. I still haven't been inside one to really feel it out. I see them, but I haven't been inside. 80 a couple years ago, a clip went viral about women piling in a U-Haul van for hours there and back to go All-Star game without paying for a flight and hotel. Oh, Flick, I believe it. Flick, I completely believe it. I had a girlfriend the girlfriend in college, the black girl, the one of few black girls I dated that was genuinely like a beautiful girl. But she ended up being real dirty, like like gnats flying by the laundry, dirty kind of thing. Her sisters, they were all pretty. Her and her sisters they were all pretty girls, but they were all hood rats, right? And they would do shit like that. They would just they're gonna go out. They're gonna buy some heels. They're gonna put all their effort into looking good, and they will literally rent a 1 bedroom hotel with their girlfriends, and they will all sleep. They'll all sit up and sleep in that hotel, in that on the floor and in the bed. See, them girls will do that shit. Women. Here's the thing. Women are, and I'm not trying to bash women on the whole, but women are women make fun of, women make fun of men for being dirty, and there are some dirty men out there, some dirty people, but in my experiences, women were more pathetic in their dirtiness than men. Men will usually be dirty out of laziness, right? Men will usually be dirty out of just sheer laziness, right? Women will be dirty out of just simply completely poor planning and just being pathetic. Like in my history. Now I'm not saying my experiences are are the the overall situation, but what I've seen, women will do that U-Haul story you said. I completely believe it, and they probably did worse shit than that. They probably did worse shit than that. I completely believe it, and I guarantee that wasn't their first time doing it. I guarantee you it wasn't their first time doing it. And like I said, that story, I completely believe it without hesitation. When you see how women really get, like the women that be on Instagram, social media, trying to look like their lives all perfect and all that, how them girls are really living. For the men that get stuck in this shit, see, they don't want to hear these stories. The men who get stuck in these situations, they get, because it shatters that whole Disney presentation of what women are. And here's the thing: women love guys like that because they know they can keep, because those guys are children to them. Do you have any tips on dealing with private debt collectors? No. No. I honestly don't have any with private debt collectors. No. I mean, if I had to guess, I would say just go change your telephone number. Is they gonna call you unless they have your address? But I don't know, honestly. I couldn't. I'm not a person that can help you. I'm trying to think. Like I said, you can go change it. Well, when I was in college, you can go change your number for like $5. Just go with $5, and they would change your number at the phone store. But that was when I was trying to get away from some woman that kept texting me that I didn't want to talk to. Because I didn't know how to block numbers. This is before smartphones. Uh, but I honestly I don't know. I don't know. I can't help you with that. Honestly, I can't help you. And not to be sound like I'm a fucking snob or something like that. I don't know. And AMS says you can take a married man serious. You can't take a married man serious. Is your advice less valuable to the red pill? Well, okay, technically I'm not married. I just say I am. I'm not married. But okay, my advice, I would say yeah, because I will still say wild shit. I'm not stuck in that whole like I'm just trying to keep her happy and all that shit. Like no, no. We have me and my spouse have very open conversations about the realities of things and because we were talking this morning. She just told me she didn't feel like hearing it because we were talking about a friend of mine who's a swinger. And I said, look, I tell you, yeah, women don't want to hear this, but a woman's body is just like a piece, it's just a flavor of ice cream. And she goes, I just don't feel like hearing that right now. Like, right? Like we talk about, like, I'm not in that position with her where, where, where I'm doing this whole, happy wife, happy life bullshit. Fuck that. That's retarded. All happy wife, happy life ends up becoming is you end up being what's that shit called the go getter. What's that shit called when the assistant would have the go go? I can't remember what it's a nickname for that shit. That's all that when you fall into that boat of happy wife, happy life shit. Once she gets once her female spidey senses clicks on that you're doing that, it's over. It's over. She will never. You. It would be you. You have a very okay. You'd be better. I say you just be better off alone instead of living your life underneath that. So to answer your question, I think my advice is still good because I'm nowhere near in that. Um. Now there are some things that I think people assume that I would get mad about, and personally, I just don't. I don't have problems with it. Um, Now she doesn't have any This came up today actually with the woman I was talking to because she asked me about my tattoos. Um, Now my spouse doesn't have any tattoos, but I wouldn't have a problem with tattoos if she had them. With my ex-wife, she had tattoos. I that had no um, influence on my perception of her. And like with my spouse now, she doesn't have any tattoos. I try to actually, I try to talk her into getting a tattoo. Actually, that has nothing. Or when it comes to situations like abortion, like because she had gotten pregnant again, and I said, look, well, if you want to, like personally, okay, you also got to remember I'm in Czech Republic, so the child support situation is nothing crazy like North America. So it's not like it would, you know, she could like run me through the wire on child support because it checks out child support system is not made to keep women, not having to work kind of thing. So she got pregnant after we had the first baby, and when it comes to abortion, in my situation of not having the potential consequence of like child support and her, you know, doing that whole Americanized version of child support, I told her I don't care. It's your body. Look, you're the one that's got to push this motherfucker out. If you want to have the baby, cool. I'll be there. If you don't want to have the baby, I'm not mad. Pick one yourself. Now I think some people assume that I would be against abortion. I'm not against it. I'm not against it. In fact, here's the thing: when you talk about abortion, look, you get on the topic of abortion, that gets really deep. But I could quickly say why I'm not against abortion. Um, I think being against something like abortion, especially with the laws and stuff made up now, um, okay, here's the thing. I think there should be a limit to how many abortions a woman should be able to get in her entire life, or like maybe like a yearly limit or something. Because okay, because there's always going to be people who's going to take advantage of the abortion system. You're going to have whores that are going out to parties and clubs every week and getting pregnant every other month or every few months or something like that, and then just getting an abortion. And then these women essentially learn to be just become completely irresponsible just throughout their entire lives and just take advantage of just getting abortions to just fix it, right? Now, when it gets to that level, I'm against it at that point. Now, if it's a situation like you're with a spouse and you don't, and one of you two, like maybe she just doesn't want to give birth again or something like that, and you're legitimately with the spouse, this kind of stuff, then yeah, I don't care about it. I mean, I could go either way on abortion, and in either way. Because here's the thing, it's not really about killing a life. Because if you really want to be real about it, every time you jack off, you're essentially just throwing away millions of potential lives in every fucking towel you've jacked off into multiple times a day. Motherfucker, you have literally killed potentially 3 million fucking babies every time you jacked off. All right. So like if it's about lives, like it's not about life. In my opinion, it's not about life. I mean, but you can go deep because like well technically they're not, in an egg yet, so it's not like a complete life. So you take down those odds, then you take down all these other odds. So it's not really just jacking off, but I mean, but that's where I'm coming from with it. But I think she thought I was against abortion because I think she was kind of scared to tell me about it, and um, yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all. Trillions, yeah, yeah. Every time you jacked off, dude, like you jack off is just you murder fucking trillions just to get like a quick feel good moment that lasts like 10 seconds. Like masturbation is actually more diabolical than fucking abortion, dude. Like think about that shit. Masturbating is by far you are creating damn near the worst far like the worst genocide known to mankind is masturbation, all right? Like, like that is by far worse. By far worse. It depends on how you want to look at it. I'll say that. Depends on how you want to look at it. How deep you want to go in it. And what your philosophy is. Because the sperm are not in an egg yet, so they're not even like potentially going to become a human at any point. So do you count that as life? It depends on where you're coming from with it and your philosophy. My philosophy is masturbation is by far the worst form of genocide known to mankind. So abortion is just like, yeah. Worst sin? Do you believe in God? No, I'm agnostic, man. Um, I think it'd be cool if God did exist. I think it would be really cool if. But then there's other issues with that. But I think it depends on what time of day you ask me. Sometimes I'm like completely against the whole concept of God. I think it's entirely dumb. Other times I think it'd be cool to for there to actually be a God to talk to, or that exists. Depends on what time of day you catch me. Oh, wait, somebody with a sword. Let me go over that sword before it. Because I almost completely forgot. Somebody get off here in like 15 minutes. He says sword pill. Okay. Oh, wait. Sword. Okay. Well, here I'll say, okay, real fast with this. I've explained my opinion on nice guys and why nice guys always lose is because being nice, being nice. Okay, it's like that Dave Chappelle skit. Not a skit. It was a stand up where he says, this is when he first got famous, long time ago, and he talks about how it's always awkward when somebody comes up to you and they're like, "Hi, how you doing?" And then you go, "Oh, I'm fine." And he's like, you say, "I don't even talk like that. Why did I do that for that person?" Because you're trying to keep up with them. Being a nice guy is essentially that. Like being a nice guy, like it just it makes it being nice will just lead to being severely uncomfortable. All right. Because somebody's like, if somebody keeps being nice to you now, okay. So let's say like person A and person B, right? Person A is walking around trying to be nice all the time, right? And person B may even like it at first, right? So then person B gives back to person A being nice. But then what happens when person B wakes up one morning and is just in a bad mood and they don't feel like being nice? And then person A comes around and they're like, "Hi, how you doing?" Being nice. And what do? Well, now person B, for a while, they might sit there and try to, fake it. "Oh, hey, I'm doing good, blah blah," but they're really in a shit mood, right? And it's only a matter of time before either person A or person B is going to wake up and not be on that shit at all and just have a super bad day and just go off on the nice person, right? Because it's just uncomfortable. They don't want to be nice. They just want to be left alone. They want to do something else. They don't want to talk, And then, but it's this pressure. They don't want to be mean, but they don't want to be nice back, right? So it's not really necessarily. So being a nice guy is not really like just being a nice guy to a nice girl. It's just being a nice guy, and being too nice in general is fucking awkward, right? Because all being too nice up front, all that inevitably does is it forces other people to do what they don't want to do, right? Because now when you're forcing being nice on somebody, I'm not saying anybody in a chat or anything like that, but I'm saying like in the world, when you're forcing yourself being nice on people, it puts pressure on them to be nice back to you, regardless of if they want to do it or not, right? And so I think, but it gets more focused when it's a guy being nice to a girl. It gets more focused in that kind. But it's the same whether it's two guys or it's two girls. It's the same, no matter the situation. Yeah, let's start with this. Oh.
In your arms above.
Why do they say they like nice guys and then turn down the guys who are nice to them?
Good morning, starshine. The Earth says hello.
Do women even know what they want? And where the hell does this come from?
I'm gonna show you a secret move nobody's talking about, but I know for a fact all women want. All we want in the depths of our heart is for somebody to do this. Oh, now she's looking at you. She's yours. You could be a villain, slaughtering my people across the 7 kingdoms. What a red flag. But that's all it takes. Just a little whoop, huh.
She said, "Kill my family and move my face around with a sword." Why does she want that? And why can't anyone agree on how this works? Why
Okay, so this
does she
part.
want that?
Okay.
Family.
So what this has to do with, she goes, "You can kill my family," and all so like that. Okay, because she said all women want is to push her head up to yours, so she looks you in the eye and she doesn't care about anything else. It is biologically programmed in women for over thousands of years of programming to look for the biggest, strongest person in the room to take her off. Mia Khalifa is a perfect example of that. All right. Mia Khalifa said, fuck her family, fuck her religion, fuck her country. She went to go suck that rich white cock in America because that rich white cock will take her out of that shit. Mia Khalifa is the exact example of that. She'll dress up and make a mockery of her own country. She don't give a fuck. But it's not just her, and she's not evil. It's just what women are. Oh, that's her purpose. That is woman's. See, these things is. I mean, I'm saying it and it sounds mean, but this is literally human history. See, there's a reason why more attractive women will get chased by male suitors. They'll generally have kids, more kids at younger ages. See, those are the women who evolved and survived. The prettier ones will usually evolve, will reproduce, evolve, and survive longer. And just like with men, over time, the smaller, shorter, weaker men, unless something happens, will die off. Right? Except you take in modern times with technology. So now men can get smart with their minds and not just their bodies. So now we can get guys like Bill Gates or Donald Trump who can be, strong men. They're not these guys. These Bill Gates and Donald Trump are not strong men. But they just adapted to the change of life. Like I said before, if you take Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and I forget the other one I said, and you put them in a time machine, you take them back 100,000 years, they'll be completely useless, right? Now, if you pick up The Rock, Chad Ochocinco, Shannon Sharp, and you take them back 200,000 years, they still have they would have a lot of value because they'd be real strong and all that, right? That translates. But a woman's journey, a woman's path, a woman's purpose and path in life is to find a strong man, a man who's strong relative to the time period, and that she feels like can protect her, and to hell with anything else. To hell with it. Her, like she said, her family, her kids don't give a fuck about that. It's her nature. She's not evil for saying it. It's just what she is. And see, this goes back to this. That harsh, ugly truth. I'm trying to move it. It goes back to this. Why is it cut off over here? It goes back to this. Oh shit. It's that harsh truth. This is programming. I didn't make it up. This is human programming over hundreds of thousands of years. There's nothing admirable in women for a man. Okay. Now, maybe for her own child, sure, for that temporary time being, but there's nothing. Now, what men would call admirable, I mean, there might be a woman here or there, generally, just like with dogs. Like, you can find a dog here or there that can watch you make pancakes one time, and a dog will know how to make pancakes from just that one time, and go in there and be barking. Where's the flour? Where's the eggs? I need some butter. Where's the spatula? I need to scoop this shit. And go in there and be talking about some. Yeah, you'll find a dog here or there that'll do it throughout history. But here's the thing. If you take that dog who's in there just scooping up them pancakes on something, we're flipping them. Come on. Right? You find that dog that can do it, and you take that dog around the average dog and be like, you need to get your flour, bro. You need to get your butter. And the other dog is going to be like, fuck that shit. I'm going to go sniff another dog's asshole. And that's how women are. That's what women. You'll find a woman here or there who can compete at Olympic levels. You could find you will find some women who would probably have it in them to start their own community. With all women, they would build their own sewer systems and these kind of things. You'll find some women here or there, but the overwhelming majority, that's not in their biological makeup. It's not going to be a super common thing. Just like the flip side, you can find some men who are the most butchest men who go hunting and make their own knives and they'll make their own guns. And you'll find some guys like that who will be great interior designers. Now, is it going to be common? No. But it happens, but don't go out looking for that shit, right? Like, or just like with women, like, there's guys who make six figures who are over 6 foot tall and all that. Is it common? No, but it does exist. We can agree it exists, but it's nowhere near common. Sadly, some men will never accept because they see women in the same lens as their mother and sisters. Yeah. I heard do this.
And move my face around with a sword. Why does she want that? And why can't anyone agree on how this works, even after I wrote it down for you? I'm going to answer all of these questions again. I've done it before somewhere in here, but this time I'm going to do it all together, all at once. This is my last attempt to get rid of the poisonous language that we have in our culture around good guys and bad boys, as if you can only be one at a time, like you have to pick one. If we keep talking about it like that, we're never going to figure this out.
Okay, real quick. So remember, her example of being, the guy putting the sword to her chin and all that, whatever, right? Now, she probably doesn't, okay, the sword can be, a fact or not. But, okay, here's the thing. To further push my opinion on it, and this biological makeup in history over the last hundreds of thousands of years. Okay, whenever land would historically be taken over, the first thing they would do is kill all that land. Is either kill most of that land's military or take them and thanks for the $5. I'm gonna read that off in a minute, man, because I got to get this thought out. Because I think this is really important to what was going on. But I'm gonna read that off. But thanks, Bruce Lee, for the $5. Yeah. So this was So when lands will be taken over, historically, what would always end up working is they would either slaughter the whole land's military, but that's not a smart move because you can't grow your own military. So they would usually take them as prisoners, or take them as labor, or take them in, or they would absorb them into their own military, right? It'd be one, they would slaughter all the men, take them as labor, or take them as like sacrifices for the gods or some shit like that, or absorb some of them into their own military to further grow their own military. Because a big problem over the large quantities of years was growing your own military, and how do you do it in a righteous way? And depending on your religion and these things, that would have a huge influence on how you would grow your military. And then they would usually burn their libraries down. They would burn most, if not all, intellectual properties of said country. They would take over and then spread theirs, or if there was something good, they would take it and just absorb it into theirs, and it would just be theirs now. And in history, we remember that group for the knowledge. So, but with women, right? The women of these areas would usually be taken in as living maids. Married off, taken by the soldiers. They would very rarely be just completely killed unless they were old. And even when they would be like old, they would just kind of they would be taken, but just be left to be like street paupers kind of thing, these kind of situations. But women would very rarely be just completely slaughtered after the war was over. And I'm not saying during the war they would kill them and rape them and stuff, but after the wars, they would very rarely just slaughter them. It wasn't in my memory of reading, it wasn't a very common situation. But here's the thing. Now, when these Vikings or barbarians and all these kind of guys would come to these countries and take their women, do you think they was coming there being nice? Going, hey, how's it going, Sandra? Would you like to go out next week? Do you think would they being nice? How was them soldiers run up to them bitches? Right? Think about that. And see, this is thousands of years of programming. See, there's a reason why men are still very physically violent when things call for it, and women are still psychologically violent with things, because these are how the two sides evolved over thousands of years, not because some asshole on YouTube said it out loud. Okay, this is not me. It's not Kevin Samuels. It's not what's his name? Sharp, Donovan Sharp. We're just repeating what history did. We're just essentially history lessons in disguise. Okay. All right. There's been no time in history where being nice got the prettiest bitch of the land. It doesn't happen. Not for long. And if it did, okay, the rare case it did happen, she took advantage of him and screwed him over hardcore. That has never been a historical accuracy. Never. It has about his. Here's the thing. You have about the same odds of succeeding with that as bacteria has surviving hand sanitizer. You got about a 0.1% chance. Now, to logical thinking people, they'd be like, yeah, it's a waste of time doing that. But you have simps who secretly believe that their booty is special. Right? So they're gonna sit around and keep holding their breath because because they've been watching too much Disney. They think that they're gonna be that 0.1% that it's all gonna just magically work out. It becomes it becomes an infatuation with Disney. You being the 0.1%. And what's even more awkward about Disney is see them Disney movies, they only show you where the nice guy did finally get the girl and then they just ride off. See, the Disney movies very rarely went into what happened 2 weeks after that. For that 0.1% that where it did work out. Disney movies, see, they very rarely do they go into what happened 2 and 3 weeks after that shit. Now you have Shrek, but Shrek is a situation where the woman was humbled because she was really fucked up. See, show me a movie where a woman was able to completely pull off the princess move all the time, and she didn't suffer from some debilitating illness on a social level. And I mean, and they actually followed that bitch a month after the movie ended. I mean, like, see, this is the part, and see, this is where women and men are completely confused. Who are holding out for that is because none of them actually know what to do after 2 weeks, because movies don't tell them what to do after 2 weeks, and so they're all confused. And who's going to lose? The man's going to be the one who loses, is because the man. It comes back to the man having to be the leader. And the woman can always just play the card of, oh, well, I'm just a woman. I just have needs and wants, blah, blah. So the man, she can always put it on the man to not be good enough. And the man will always lose. Hence, divorce rates. Women don't know. Men don't know and women don't know. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Shrek was on that like Sigma/Alpha shit.
What people say.
But yeah, back to the original thing. Back to the first girl with the night and all that shit. Like, see, women are biologic. Women hate to admit this shit, dude. Because again, it's not just an asshole on YouTube saying it. It's not just me being an asshole on YouTube saying it. It's not Kevin Samuels just being an asshole on YouTube. It's not Donovan Sharp just being an asshole on YouTube. Okay, when Vikings and barbarians and Mongols was going over, taking over lands, you think they was being nice to bitches? When the next thing you know, 6 months later, or I'm sorry, let's say 5 years later, now all the population's half Mongolian. You think that shit was because they was being nice to them bitches? Okay. Now I'm not saying it's right to go around and and kill a whole nother country's people to get some pussy. What I'm trying to say is that's still biological programming. Okay? See, there's a reason why dogs, they have to test dog food for dogs. And more times than not, the dogs end up loving some shit that tastes like, it tastes completely terrible to humans. And that's what dogs love. Why is that? Because again, that's thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years of programming for them, for what they've been eating over all that time. So a dog would rather some shit that tastes like a garbage can leaking lighter fluid mixed with beef and dog shit. That tastes like perfection to a dog. Why? Because throughout history, dogs was eating decomposed humans, uh, shit, other dogs. And see, that's why their taste buds are off from humans. Because humans have been trying to eat fruits and grapes and shit like that. I mean, we ain't trying to eat human shit and human meat or rotten meat. That's where that shit comes from. And see, like modern media will always push it that guys like me or people are like assholes. Like, no, I'm not the asshole. Just go back and look at actual fucking looking at history. You know what? Another thing about history hurts. I just seen this one, and they're probably gonna take his video down for this. It was this dude. He has a channel called After School, and he actually shows like what Europe would have really been like, what ancient Rome would have really been like. And I think it's probably already taken down because YouTube usually doesn't like these things. It's like After School, and this is what I've been saying all along. Like, these places were horrifically. This video, it was a day ago. I watched it, and I think they're going to take this down or it's going to get a lot of downvotes because because he goes into what ancient Rome was really like, and it's gonna explain that reality that motherfuckers just don't want to hear because they want to see Europe being this beautiful, beautiful place where everybody was perfect and royalty and clean and all this. These motherfuckers were filthy as fuck. It was disgusting. All right. Let me read this donation. 10 minutes. Bruce Lee. Did you see the courtroom news with Diddy's case of the woman who was at his party saying he was abusing her, with gang raping her and other things while her husband watched on? Absolutely silly how these women get away with being abused after the fact. How these women get away with being abused after, oh yeah. And her husband watched. Here's the thing. I guarantee you, these women would not be in there for a dude working at Payless Shoes. You see what I'm saying? See, you ever notice how like beautiful, beautiful women never have issues with, a guy stocking shelves at Walmart? You know what I mean? Like, and when I say issues, I'm talking like going to a party with them, going to a club with them and all that stuff like that. It's always some shit that either has money or it looks like he has money. It's always these situations. Now, I'm not saying it's right for these guys to, abuse women, but it's a shitty situation because, like with the Bill Cosby thing, like those see with the Bill Cosby situation, is people still don't talk about that. Those girls' mothers were sending them out there, knowing, and the girls' mothers exactly knew what was going on before the girls would know. The girls' mothers were doing it, and nobody ever came after those girls' mothers. Here's the thing: when it comes to these, when it comes, like for example, like R. Kelly, right? When it comes to situations like R. Kelly, he's another situation where, now I'm not saying what he was doing was right, but what I'm saying is, what I'm getting at is, nobody ever went on about how those girls' mothers were sending those 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old girls out to live with him. And nobody ever batted an eye at the moms. Not once. Look at Jeff Epstein. You know what if I say the name Jeff Epstein, you already know what he looks like. The Jeff Epstein's wife, now she actually did get in trouble, but you don't even know what she looks like. I guarantee you don't. If I put up pictures of 15 older white women, and I ask you to tell me which one of these is Jeff Epstein's wife, the one who got in trouble for human trafficking, you wouldn't even be able to point at the picture. Or it would be lucky if you picked out the right one, but you know which one's the man. But in reality, see, here's the in reality, these worlds are severely fucked up because when it comes to these human trafficking things and all that, see, Jeff, men usually cannot, and I said this before, men usually cannot go out there and legitimately go out there and pull groups of 14 and 15-year-old girls being a grown ass man, right? Men can't do that. Women do these things. Older women go out there and get these young girls to give to these men. See, that's the part that police stations, these Chris Hansen, these guys, they never ever want to talk about because it'll shatter that image that's keeping them employed of men are just doing all it's always the big evil men who are doing all these things. Right? Now, again, I'm not saying that it's okay for men to go out and you know, and hook up with 14, 15-year-old girls. I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm saying is there's always a whole lot more to it, to the situation. That's very true. I co-sign what you're putting down. How do you get morality as a man in a modern world? You know how you get morality? You got to be an asshole. You got to be Al Bundy. And if motherfuckers like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't. You gotta be that. You gotta be an asshole, and if they like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't, and you just gotta keep going with it. But yeah, back to this. Oh wait, no, back to the good guy versus bad guy. That is biological programming. Over at least a good 10,000 years at minimum. That's 10,000. I would say in all honesty, in all reality, because the second food crop what's it called? I can't think of the name of it. The second revolution of crop growing, of growing crops, to where humans could figure out how to completely grow their own crops so they didn't have to keep walking around. That was roughly 10,000 years ago. To where where humans could we got to the point where we can see the land and say, okay, we can actually grow our own food here, so we don't have to keep walking around. You know what I mean? When all the food's gone here to go get some more. And that was like 10,000 years. I can't think I keep wanting to say the Industrial Revolution, but that's not the Industrial Revolution. I can't remember what it's called. But I say after about that period was when most of that happened. Like, because then you have, you know, cities, villages, cities growing, and then people are going to want to get over fights over resources, and then fights would break out, which eventually grew into wars breaking out because populations grew. But that's biological programming. Women can't, there is nothing in the development of woman that would say that there's anything interesting for her to be with a nice guy, unless the guy is just super duper rich and she could just use him for his money. There's nothing else. If you look at the history of humanity, there's nothing there that says women should be attracted to nice. If they had to pick between being nice and being mean, they would there nothing more than, and the humans were nothing more than animals. Okay, just like there's nothing in human history that says we should develop to like the exact same food that dogs like, or cats like, or elephants like, because we spent our whole time eating a certain type of, generally speaking, a certain type of diet, and other animals have spent their time, you know, gravitating towards other types of foods. So if you try to just bust out and feed, you know, a fucking anteater some steak and be like, well, how come you don't like the steak, bro? Like, you can't be mad at the anteater for not liking steak, because the anteater don't eat steak. He eat ants. You know what I mean? It's in his fucking name. So it's like, oh my God, like, huh? Like, what do you mean anteaters don't like a freshly cooked steak? It's good for it because I like it. Yeah, you like it, but the anteater doesn't like that. The anteater don't have any value in, you know, in medium rare steak. Agricultural revolution. That's it, Leslie Porter. Agricultural revolution. Yeah, the second one. This, I want to say that was the second one, 10,000 years, because the first one, I want to say that was the second one, but it was roughly 10,000 years ago. I could be wrong. Let's Google it. Oh no, it was the first one. Okay, 17th. Okay, so that was the first one I'm talking about. Then I can't remember anything anymore. Okay, yeah. I'm off. Yeah. So after the Industrial Revolution, that probably gave rise to the that sounds yeah after the Industrial Revolution, then would come the second Agricultural Revolution, where they just had a lot more food than they ever had before, and then canning came into play, and because I do remember this, the first canning was pineapples, because pineapples was pineapples was like a super exotic fruit to have. And but the thing was, they could never get it. It was very difficult to travel with it and make sure it would stay good, because it would die. Like with if you put it in a room like bananas and shit like that, it would just go bad quickly, as far as I can remember. So by the time they would get, actually, they would take like 30 pineapples, like only like three would make it by the time they got back home, kind of thing. And so like it was that was a big deal I think Delmont was the first successful canning of pineapples, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not, maybe I'm off with this too, but I'm pretty sure. It was one of those popular brands that's still popular now. They were the first ones to succeed in it, to where when they canned it and when they brought it back and they opened it, it was still good. And so canning was a big deal, dude. Like that sounds like a sex name, but like canning, like here's the thing, like fast food and like all this food that's bad for us. That's really a big deal, man. Like that's really a big deal. Because before the concept of like frozen dinners and and canned food and boxed food, oh, like most people were just living off of crops on a more direct scale. So if you had bad crops, you just didn't have a lot of food to spread around. So that preservatives, while they do hurt, I mean, you can guarantee your stomach's going to get full. Okay, it's a big deal. Do you think be nice is a form of rebellion then in the modern day world? Well, I think in modern days, like right now, the being nice situation is coming from raising boys. Is okay. Being nice comes from women raising boys. And in my opinion, it comes from the manipulating young boys so they don't get too strong and end up beating up all the other kids, and then inevitably the mother when the kid gets older. So you get them when they're young, and putting them, they have to be nice or they're in trouble. To be nice, be nice, be nice. You have to psychologically destroy them or manipulate them to keep them from getting too strong, too strong too early. Because if the boy flips out, once most boys hit, here's the thing, once most boys will turn, I'd say 12, most mothers can't handle. If the boy decides to get up and flip the fuck out, the boy would beat up most 12-year-old boys could easily beat up their own mothers. I would say very easily. The vast majority of 12-year-old boys, for one reason or another, maybe not even just from just pure strength. I think some mothers would genuinely be stronger than the boys, But it's that woman's nature. Once most women will feel between from 1 to 5 genuine punches from a male side of strength. It's like she biologically has to just shut down. Like she can't like her ferocity just literally exits the chat. Like it's a biological thing. It's like she knows, she can feel from that 12-year-old boy that he will be able to keep going. Now she might be strong for a little while, but she'll get tired. Most women will tire out real fast, and that boy will keep going, right? And yeah. So even if she does beat him at first, he'll just keep going, and he'll have endless energy, and eventually beat her, beat her unless she kills him, kind of thing, or shoots him or something like that. So being nice again. Women's violence is mental. Men's violence is physical. For the majority of their lives, women's violence all comes from manipulation and hoping you don't have the courage to say something, do something, and setting you up the whole time to feel like that before you even realize it. Men's violence is usually through bass in the voice and just flat out physical intimidation. Women will intimidate you without you even realizing they intimidated you. It's just manipulation, because they can't. Most women will not be able to physically handle a man. Here's the thing. Like the situation of the monkeys, or there was a saying that like 100 men couldn't beat one real strong monkey or ape or whatever the fuck. And like an actual like zoologist came and said like, no, like that's actually bullshit. Because first off, most monkeys are not like, walking around trying to fight. You know what I mean? Like most monkeys aren't walking around sitting down ready to go balls to the wall in ferocity. So like if you brought, he said like in reality it would only take probably about like 30 to 40 men to actually take down a monkey for real. Because the men would come in there on some old like, yeah, we got to do this, and most monkeys are gonna just be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, these kind of things, get away from me, kind of thing, right? Like most monkeys are not gonna be in there just like on immediate violence from the jump. Like now, if the monkey was on, like if you fucking altered that monkey to where he was like flat out like, okay, I'm out for blood like right now, kind of thing, and then you put in 100 men in a room, he could probably take 100 men like that if he was like focused. You know what I mean? Motherfucking monkey was focused. He was eyes straight red and angry. Then he would take it. I'd say probably be easy. But it's the same thing with mothers and boys. It's like even if a mother was physically stronger than the boy, which some mothers would be, women don't have that long-term ferocity that a boy would have, because at some point the woman would have to look for some type of psychological reassurance and all that. And if you put a 12-year-old boy who was just like angry, and you put a grown ass woman who was angry, the boy would kill her. Unless she got lucky and killed him first, the boy would kill her. So that's why he needs a father to teach him. Look, it's not about being nice; it's about respect. This ain't got nothing to do with emotions. Don't forget about reputation destruction. Yeah, Javi, I told my spouse, I said, because she didn't know these things. I told her that like the punishment back in France, like I want to say it was before the Industrial Revolution. There would be, and I was reading a book by Foucault. I don't know how to pronounce his name, and he was talking about punishments in France at the time, and and I want to say it was like I did the math. It was like there was like a hanging. I think it was like every 3 to 4 months in France, because guys you always do something bad, but women would very rarely get the same punishment. Women's punishment, the equal of the men being hanged, because very few women were actually. If you look back at the records, if I'm not mistaken, if you look back at the records, it was like 90% of the hangings were they were hanging men, and women would very rarely be hanged. Women's punishment would be to walk through town holding a sign saying like I committed robbery or I committed adultery or something like that, and that would just be torture. They had their punishment was to walk through the streets holding a sign. His name is James Foucault. I recommend the book. If you could find it, the translation's on the internet. Michael Foucault, that's his name. Is this it? Let's see, this is it. I'd highly recommend it. But here's any book that goes into any study, I would highly, if you're interested in these things, I would highly recommend you not read studies now, unless it's about a smartphone or something like that. But if you want to look up human studies on anything, the most beautiful studies were done, I say, pre-1950s. Anything before the 50s, because that's where they were just very brutal, very honest. Every now and then you get guys like him who did do direct brutal studies. But if you want to look up like psychological studies on military actions, military planning, psychological issues from military, psychological issues from punishments, anything, any of these situations, go back and read the older ones, because they were not being held back by sounding like they were racist or misogynist or anything. They would just say it, and it would be so clear. And see, this is why you have some philosophers or people, like I would say Jordan Peterson. He sounds like a guy who also would read. Probably, yeah, I would guarantee you, if you ask somebody like Jordan Peterson, he would probably favor those older studies too. Because it's always the people who can randomly say some super real shit like that, like it's just normal, because they read real shit. See, like modern psychologists, these guys are just complete fucking jokes. I think they're terrible. I think the modern therapists, psychologists, I think they're terrible. I think they're complete jokes. I don't talk to them. I don't hang out with them. I think they're jokes in a profession standpoint, because they're studying too much modern shit. How to make a bi-parent household, and, how to manage screen time. Like, get the fuck out of here. This is fucking fag shit. Go study that real shit. Study old studies with that, because see, there's a reason why those guys like Jordan Peterson. I don't listen to much of what he says, but the general overall, how I can hear how he talks. I would say he would probably advocate what I'm saying. Just go back and study the olds. Don't study the new guys are just a bunch of fucking faggots. They're a bunch of faggots who are trying to sound good to keep whatever little job they got, and fit in that whole education BS rigor facade. Go back and read those guys who were doing studies, and while they were doing the studies, like, they had no money, and they were literally sleeping in like a fucking studio house somewhere with a fireplace and 3 kids in the house. Those are the people you need to go. I would highly recommend you read. These guys now who. It's almost like at this point, the more rich the psychologist is, the worse he'll probably actually be in real life, in terms of knowing, of understanding humanity. Okay, it's pretty much at that point now, because like with the world of education, it's not about it. Like, nowadays, it's not about education anymore. It's about sounding good to get into the circles who make more money. It's no longer about actual intelligence anymore. The guillotine. Yeah, see, if I remember correctly, the guillotine was that was the guy's last name who brought it to, I want to say it was France. His last name was Guillotine, but it wasn't called the Guillotine. It was if I'm not mistaken, the guillotine. Yeah, it was brought from France. I want to say, was it Africa or Italy? I can't remember, but they brought it to France, and the guy who brought it to France, his last name was Guillotine. Let me see if I can find it. So I'm not talking too much shit. I could be wrong though. No, I know the guy's last name was definitely Guillotine, but so we just call it like a vandal, like we like the term vandal. Here it is, Joseph. Yeah, physician. Yeah, this is it right here. Introduction to French. His last name. Can you see that? Hang on. Yeah, you can see that. Yeah, his last name was Guillotine, and he brought it to France, and the name just stuck that it was a guillotine after that. But like for example, like the vandals, like the term vandal, like if you vandalize something, like that term just stuck because the vandals were a group of people. If I'm not mistaken, they were part of taking down the Roman Empire. I can't remember. It was some part that had to do with like what's now France, and I could be off because I'm fucking tired. But anyway, the Vandals were a people, and they had destroyed a lot of land out of retaliation, and so the name stuck that you were a Vandal because you destroyed something. Um, but in reality, they were actually retaliating for what I want to say was the Roman Empire. They had fucked them up. I can't remember exactly what happened with that. But yeah, but the name just stuck. You think it's hilarious? That shit's wild. That's wild. Just a big ass sharp piece of metal and gravity. Gravity and sharp metal. That's brutal. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here because it's late. So y'all have a good day, evening, night, and I catch y'all. Yeah, the Visigoths and Vandals came to town, Northern Europe, and plundered the Roman Empire. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I could have been wrong because I'm fucking tired, and I'm working on this other master's degree, and got a baby, and teaching. I still got my hobbies and doing shit, and yeah, I just got so much going on. I can't keep track of it much anymore. Um, but yeah, I'll let you guys go. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the donation, Bruce Lee. Thanks to anybody if anybody liked. But thanks, Bruce Lee, if you're still watching. Thanks for the $5, man. Appreciate it. Um, but no, I'll try to watch that and see what see to see what it's about. But yeah, I'll catch y'all later, man. Peace out.